Shalom. I wanted to get into this lesson, and I hope all of my subscribers are in good health, high spirits, and hope you and your family are safe and in good health, and preparing for the setbacks that are bound to happen. So I want to thank all 85 of my subscribers. I want to thank the 85th subscriber as well as the 84th and the 83rd for subscribing. I want to thank all of you for subscribing to my channel. I wanted to edify whosoever is listening that is subscribed. I've been meaning to do this. I got a couple of lessons coming. I got a Jezebel lesson coming. But this one is mainly involving this Planet of the Apes, this Planet of the Apes movies. And I consider Planet of the Apes movies, as well as Israelites and those who are aware of the origin of this movie. All of the great films were based on the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. So Planet of the Apes is another one that is a depiction of the children of Israel and prevention of the Messiah rising up to deliver our people out of the bondage of the so-called white men, which are the Edomites of the Bible. Now, Caesar, I'm gonna pause this on this image right here. Caesar, in the matter of fact, I'm gonna let it play real quick because I'm gonna edify. Caesar in the movie Planet of the Apes is considered the Messiah for the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indian tribes of Israel. Okay. Caesar has been reduced to Curious George. If you're an 80s baby like myself, I was born in 1980, and the cartoon Curious George used to come on. Okay. And Curious George was a monkey, and just like here, I'm gonna pause it. This is Curious George with his Edomite master. Okay. Now, here it says Curious George is a sweet African monkey, right? And who can't help but run into trouble. Okay. Now let's stop right there. He's an African monkey who can't stop running into trouble, right? That alone, that statement alone, that sentence alone tells so much, because the monkey is not from the land that he's in, right? He's obviously in America. You have this Edomite in the yellow with this safari dress code on, as if he captured this monkey at some point, or he captured the parents of this monkey at some point, right? And now he's in the possession of this Edomite, okay, whose dress code looks like he's a part of, like he's a colonizer, okay? This is not Ace Ventura, okay? This is a master. And he ran a circus in the movie Planet of the Apes, okay? Ever since these monkeys arrived in the movies, in the movie, the monkeys arrived in 1991, but the movie was shot in 1968. If you go back and watch the original Planet of the Apes movie, they capture these monkeys. Well, they The Edomites went to a land where they thought it was no one there. Of course, this is how all of their expeditions start off. They believe they're going to go somewhere where no one, where the land is not inhabited, and then they get there, and there's some species or some people that are already there, right? And then the so-called whites will claim that they discover something, right? That's like you going outside your house right now, seeing someone in their vehicle. You walk up to them, snatch them out the vehicle, and say, "I discovered this car," right? So we know how this idiocy works, okay? Now, he's an African monkey who can't help but run into trouble. The reason he's running into this so-called trouble is because he wants to be free, right? And his master, this so-called white man, is training him not to go too far, not to get out of sight, not to wander around. He would actually have to dress him up when he go places. If you go watch the cartoon, he would actually try to hide him when he's out in public, because the Edomites the so-called whites didn't want this monkey to roam free, right? He wasn't able to roam free like the so-called Negroes were in society when the colonizers, these Edomites, these so-called whites, conquered this land that they stole, that they call the United States, or the Estados Unidos. Okay, now, George's friend, all right, they call this Edomite his friend. George's friend, the man in the yellow hat, tries very hard to care for George and is always saving George from his trouble. That's what the rest of it says. All right, now, I'm going to let this play some more, okay? So that's Curious George. Now, lately in 2024, there's this new Planet of the Apes movie coming out, okay? This image right here, I'm going to pause it, is the images from 1968 from the movie that the Planet of the Apes was showing. The apes were captured and brought to the Americas in 1991 in the movie, right? Now, this is the so-called white man right here, this Edomite, is from the cartoon, the man in the yellow hat. This is his handler, okay? This is his handler. This is the guy who runs the circus, okay? Now, he gives, now this is Caesar. He's calling him Armando. Caesar is depicted in all these Planet of the Apes as the leader, right? He's the so-called messiah for the apes, okay? He would be our Yahweh Shai, okay? Now, Armando is in this scene right here, and the so-called white man is trying to hide him. He's trying to figure out where to hide him because Caesar, which is, he's going to get his name later, but he's calling him by the name Armando, is able to interpret English and to speak English, which is a threat to the so-called whites, the Edomites, because they don't want this Messiah to train the rest of the apes to speak, and then they'll end up conquering the so-called white race, right? So this is another white survivalist film, which I despise white survivalist films because there's going to be some sellout who wants to support the survivalism of so-called whites. And the so-called whites believe that they're going to rule forever because they have all this support, all these sellouts, all of these coons, okay? Now, Armando is in this scene trying to talk, where he's trying to not be separated from his master. So he has an affection, an established affection for his master at this point. He's already broken down mentally, okay, because he's been away from his tribe, and now he's gotten used to being with his master. Now, in the bottom left corner, it says, okay, now Armando is saying, "Forgive me," okay, which is like part of which is the main problem for when it comes to Caesar. I don't personally like Caesar because Caesar he has a forgiving spirit instead of this revolutionary spirit that's going to free his tribes from the bondage of the so-called whites, the Edomites. Now, if you look here, it says, in the bottom left corner, it says, right now, the only safe hiding place for you, and then on the bottom right, it says, is amongst your own kind, right? Amongst your own kind. Now, in the top picture, he's saying, Armando, forgive me. Okay. Now, this forgiving spirit that Caesar has on him, his handler is saying, forgive me because I have to place you amongst your own tribe because the so-called Edomite or the so-called whites are trying to figure out if this Messiah has been put to death to prevent this Messiah from rising to free his people from their bondage. Okay, they figured this out by reading the Apocrypha. Okay, in the movie, the so-called White had an Apocrypha. Okay, now in this scene here, okay, on the top right, there's this plot where they're auctioning off the apes. They're auctioning these apes off. Okay. Now, they're auctioning the apes off on the top right. Okay. On the top left, it says, before his 1965 murder, referring to Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, in February 1968, there was a massive demonstration. There was a massive demonstration in support of them imprisoned, or of the then imprisoned leaders of the Black Panthers. And Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown merged SNCC with the Panthers. Hoover, referring to Edgar Hoover, the president at the time, issued another directive: prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. Okay, Malcolm X might have been such a Messiah. Okay, Martin Luther King, who we refer to as Martin Luther Coon before his final speeches, Stokely Carmichael, and Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, okay, his nonviolent doctrine. So you notice that the Edomites constantly try to dumb down the militant so-called blacks from rising up and separate themselves from the bondage of the so-called whites. All right. Every time we've attempted it, there was always a Judas, or there was always a coon or a sellout. Okay. You saw the movie Judas, the Messiah, which is a oxymoron. Judas the Messiah, right? Now, you also seen Judas in the movie The Book of Clarence. Judas got paid his little shekels for explaining who the Messiah was. Okay, now, and I didn't like that movie neither because at the end, white Jesus was the image. I'm gonna do a video on that as well. White Jesus ended up being the image that the Romans allowed to troll and become the new idol that our people worshipped, and he was roaming around Jerusalem and acting as the Messiah, which he's not. But I'm gonna make another video about that. So the middle picture here is Caesar choosing his own name. Okay, in the movie from 1968, the Edomite who was trying to prevent the Messiah from rising, Caesar was acting as if he couldn't speak. He was acting like an ape who was gaining his intelligence, learning the ways of the Edomites to blend in without speaking. So he allowed him to choose his own name, and he chose his own name, and he chose Caesar. And at the bottom it says Caesar a king. Okay, in the bottom of the middle photo. Okay. Now, the bottom picture is from Obadiah in the scriptures. All right, and it reads, "The pride of thine heart have deceived thee." This is Yahweh, the Most High, speaking about the Edomites, the so-called whites, the heathens, and how they believe there is no end to their rulership. "The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, which is your mind, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle," because that's the symbol for the so-called whites in America. They use the eagle, and overseas as well. "Thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high." It's referring to in Mount Seir, how they used to live in the clefts of the rocks over in the Caucasus Mountains and stuff like that. "That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?" So the so-called whites believe that their rulership will live on. We've seen this many times. They believe they're going to be in rulership 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 300 years from now, 1,000 years from now. They believe they're going to constantly be in rulership and be in this dominant position where they're oppressing the so-called blacks and browns, races of the planet. Okay, now Obadiah 1 and 4. "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord." Okay, now the Most High is going to bring these devils down eventually with World War III. It's been prophesied. Okay, now I just wanted to edify, put this edification out on my channel because I'm sick and tired of seeing these white survivalist movies, okay, and how they believe they're going to rule forever. The apes are the tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel in these movies. In the top, there's the 1968 movie Planet of the Apes, the Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you're not from the 80s, if your parents didn't watch it, if you're not familiar with this movie, go back and watch The Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, 1968. Here you have a still image from the movie where these apes have been captured and they are arriving to the Americas, and the so-called whites, the Edomites, are handing these apes a mop, and they're trying to indoctrinate them and to train them, okay, so that they can become like beauticians and workers and slaves and laborers, okay? That's pretty much what they're doing, all right? In the bottom, you have this new 2024 Planet of the Apes, where this woman, this girl, she's like the last remaining, she's amongst the last remaining Edomites that are being hunted down and killed by the militant apes, which is really a good thing that they're hunting them down, because the scripture says that they will be hunted down in the last days. Those who survive this nuclear war and try to hide out in bunkers, they're going to be hunted down, all right, and captured. So the apes are acting out the prophecy of the Bible that says that the nation of Israel will hunt these Edomites down, and they're going to be forced into bondage, all right, which is another, which is more proof that these movies are about the nation of Israel, okay. Now, Caesar is constantly saving these Edomites from their destruction, which is why I know he's Curious George. Okay, he's Curious George. Okay, these Planet of the Apes movies could have come to an end by now. We saw the one with Woody Harrelson, where Woody Harrelson went rogue from the military and brought his own military with him to prevent the rise of this Messiah. And during the movie, he said that he didn't want his people to speak the language of apes. He didn't want his grandchildren to speak the language of apes, as if they were going to be conquered. Now I'm gonna play this excerpt. I'm gonna play this dialogue from this movie, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and I want you to hear what this Edomite is saying about the rise of a Messiah, which is Caesar in the movie, but we know that it's Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's why they promote abortions the way they do in Babylon, so-called America, because they know that there's going to be another rise of a Messiah that's going to come through the loins of a man, and then a woman is going to give birth to another Messiah. Okay. Now let's and they're trying to prevent it. So let me play this right quick, and then I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
I shouldn't be long.
Now he's leaving Caesar to go have a meeting with these Edomites. The so-called.
Why would you say human? Human, that's a very odd thing for another human being to say.
I didn't say human, Mr. Governor. I said inhuman. Lousy, inhuman bastards. And by the blessed St. Francis, who loved all animals, I meant it. You see, I run a circus.
We know that. From 20 years back.
From the year, Senor Mando, when the two talking apes arrived on Earth and conceived a baby whose survival could have threatened the future of the entire human race.
Mr. Governor, it's my understanding the baby was shot dead with its parents.
So it was believed, Mr. McDonald. However, ever since this morning, I'm beginning to wonder if they shot the right baby.
The ape.
See, so they're trying to prevent the rise of a Messiah. The Edomite in the movie that runs the zoo is the Edomite in the cartoon that is Curious George's handler. Okay, so he's friendly with the handler, even though the handler has him in a circus, right? It's Stockholm syndrome, right? And these Edomites are going to constantly go into this direction to prevent a Messiah. But he's telling him the top Edomite in this movie is trying to prevent this Messiah. So he's trying to find out if they killed the right child, like in the movie Planet of the Apes with Woody Harrelson. He thought he killed the right ape, but he didn't. Caesar was not asleep when he was doing all this killing. He was trying to kill the right ape. So here he is, again in 1968, the narrative doesn't change. They're trying to prevent this Messiah from rising up. And they thought they killed the right ape, but come to find he's starting to think that he didn't kill the right ape. because after these apes arrive. So let me let it continue.
Apes could have switched their baby with one stolen from a zoo. Or perhaps a circus.
But surely, Mr. Governor, you can't be serious.
Hoskins, the cassette, please. This is a recording of the recommendations made to the then President of the United States by the Chairman of the Presidential Committee.
Now watch what the chairman has to say.
And we believe that the male and female talking apes, Cornelius and Zira, have come to us out of the future. We believe their spoken testimony that some 2,000 years hence, their descendants will have all but exterminated the human race from the face of the earth. And we know that the female ape is now pregnant with child. The Commission therefore recommends that the birth of the female ape's unborn child should be prevented, and that both the male and the female should be rendered incapable of begetting another.
See, so that's the abortion agenda with Planned Parenthood that was placed on the so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native Indians of America, Babylon. Same thing in the movies. They're trying to prevent the Messiah from rising and being born. So the so-called Edomite chairman said that the best solution to prevent this Messiah from rising is to keep the male and the female monkeys separate so that they can't have sex to bring forth this child that's going to be the Messiah. So let's let it continue.
But, Mr. Governor, every zoo, public and private, was searched by the police, and every circus, including my own.
Where a small chimpanzee was found.
The only chimpanzee ever to be born in a circus, and legally certified to have been born a month before the talking apes arrived on Earth.
Where is he now?
Oh, I wish I knew. I told you I've searched everywhere.
Senor Armando, let me remind you of the seriousness of our problem. Now, your circus travels mainly in the provinces, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Then undoubtedly you are unaware of the rising tide of disobedience, of outright defiance among the servant apes in our cities.
Mr. Governor.
See, so they've already indoctrinated apes to a servitude level, whether you have janitors, beauticians, you have certain servers at restaurants in the movie. They've already indoctrinated these apes, all right? Now, if you watch the other Planet of the Apes, like The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, or one of these modern ape movies, you're going to see where the one ape that is in the facility, the research facility, he's being studied, and he writes on the wall, Jacob, right? And Jacob in the scripture is the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, all right, which is my forefather, okay? So they have this movie. They're continuing to play this movie out. And like I said, every time it comes to the part where this Edomite in the bottom picture right here, these Edomites have to be exterminated, there's always Curious George disagreeing with these militant apes that want to rule once again and to wipe out those who captured them and killed them and tranquilized them and kidnapped them and stuff like that and relocated them and stuff like that, put them in circuses, got them doing all kind of servitude, just like our people in the 12 tribes of Israel. In real life, they've been indoctrinated, dumbed down. They worship other gods. They're fornicators. They lust after other gods. They put other gods before them, even though the scripture says put no other. The commandment from Yahweh says don't to put no god before Him, and they do it. Okay, so I'm gonna let it continue a little more, and I'm gonna go ahead and bow out. So let me keep going, Salakia.
On investigation, many of the reported offenses have been proved minor.
The ape who was killed while trying to escape from the city last night. Would you call his offense minor, Mr.
See that? So he said the ape last night was killed trying to leave last night. Do you think, he said, would you call his offense minor? Would you call the offense of the ape trying to escape minor? See, so the Messiah in the who they ignorantly call Jesus, Yahweh Shai, his crime was that he was trying to free the tribes of Israel from the bondage of the Romans. They didn't find any crime against him. That's why Caesar didn't have any accusations against who they ignorantly called Jesus. He didn't have anything that he said he broke no laws of mine, right? Caesar didn't see that Jesus was breaking any laws of his, Yahweh Shai. So Pilate is the one who was accusing him, and the people wanted to accuse him, right? But his only crime was that he was trying to free the children of Israel from the bondage. That was the crime, right? Because you had all types of false teachings going on. You had witchcraft and sorcery. Those people were not even accused of anything, right? And they can continue to do their sorcery and all their witchcraft and all their magic and stuff like that. But the moment that there was a Messiah coming to free the children of Israel from the bondage of the Romans, that was the crime, right? That was the crime. That's why they say King of the Jews. That wasn't a crime that he was the King of the Jews. The crime was he was coming to prophesy the downfall of the Edomites and to prophesy the rise of the children of Israel, right? That was his crime, right? That was the crime, right? So that's why in these Planet of the Apes movies, a speaking ape who can interpret and talk English is a threat, because he can read, he can teach his people how to speak. If you look at the movie, the Nat Turner movie, Birth of a Nation, when he was a child, and Slovakia, and the Edomite woman went out in the yard and saw Nat Turner's mother doing laundry. She started off being nice, or not nice because nice means ignorant, but polite. She started off being polite, and then she said, "Your son is going to stay with me in the big house," and that's that. And she took Nat Turner in the house, and Nat Turner was in the library trying to reach for the Bible, and she didn't want him to touch it, because if he learned how to read it, then he would turn into a militant Negro, and which he did. And then he wanted to free his people from bondage. So every time we see a Messiah, the problem with these Messiahs that the Edomites, the so-called whites, have with them is that they're going to free us from the bondage of these Edomites. So modern day Edomites, or so-called whites in 2024, they've inherited the ways of their forefathers. America was founded on colonialism, and the laws of America were created from colonialism. Okay, and just to prove that, I'm going to put this slideshow on pause, and then I'm gonna go into my YouTube, which I'm gonna have to take this off of airplane mode, and I'm gonna show you what I'm speaking of. So let me go here, go to my history. I'm gonna go down to one of the good Edomites.
This is the thinnest armor ever. Introducing Hyper.
What you got to say.
Why is it that white folks support anti-blackness, racism, and white supremacist culture in so many goddamn fucking ways? Why is it that we support it through our silence, our defensiveness, our denial, that code of silence? Let's not talk about it. Let's ignore it. All that fucking gymnastics, that defensiveness, the fucking anger, the passive aggressiveness, the stereotyping, the overt, covert racist, all the shit that we do, the gaslighting, All that fucking shit that we do as white people. Why can't we just leave black people the fuck alone? Why? Because we were taught that shit. It's our culture. White supremacist culture is American culture. It's European culture. We see ourselves as overseers. We ourselves as entitled to control and judge black people. White Americans wanted, back in the day, we demanded black people be segregated, right? So we segregated. Black people said, okay, great, we're going to make our own shit. They started doing great. What did we do? We fucking burned their communities down to the ground. And you gotta sit in your fucking silence? You ought to be ashamed of yourself for not giving a fuck. Every single one of you that can't talk about it, that spews fucking racist narratives, stereotypes, denial, gaslight. That's not their reality. Telling black people what the fuck they should think, feel, do, be. Fuck you. Do better. Reject your fucking training, your indoctrination. Question your own goddamn morality racially for once in your fucking life. I'm tired. I'm tired of what my people have done, what they continue to do. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm tired of seeing people suffer. I'm tired of the fucking inequality. And you ought to give a fuck too.
Okay, so we see that that Edomite is frustrated with the ways of his own people and how they continue to ignore the things that were taught to them. All right, and they inherited lies, right? That's what the Bible says. They inherited lies. All right. So with that said, I want to say again, thank you to all 85 of my subscribers. I'm going to continue to edify those who take heed to the truth. Like I said, I hope you and your family are in good health, high spirits, and are protected and safe. Prevent, work out your own salvation and be aware of what's going to take place in the future with this land and how they're going to pay for the crimes that their forefathers committed and that they continue to do and uphold to this day. All right, there will be no peace because the land is defiled with blood and sin, and these modern day Edomites, so-called whites, are continuing the blueprint that they inherited. All right. Caesars, we have a lot of Caesars within the so-called Black, Latino, Native Indian tribes of Israel. A lot of sellouts, a lot of coons. That's why there's going to be a remnant of our people that are going to be set apart, that really understand that these so-called whites are going to pay for their crimes that they haven't paid for. So I'm gonna end it with let me see. I'm gonna end it with Jeremiah 16 and 19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Okay, so I want to do this lesson on Curious George, which is Caesar, in these movie Planet of the Apes, and how the Edomites, the so-called whites, are being are trying to prevent their judgment. Okay, their judgment, which is their downfall, and they're protecting the lies, and they're trying to rule forever by crimes and deception, right? And bloodshed. Okay, that's what's going on, and they're going to pay for their crimes. And yes, they've inherited lies, just as Jeremiah 16:19 said. So with that said, I want to say shalom and peace be unto all my followers and subscribers. And like I said, I hope you and yours are safe. Hope you and yours are in high spirits. Hope you and yours are protected. All right, don't fall for these agendas. And with that said, I want to say shalom. This has been a beak